explain? Can someone please explain to me what would compel a husband, if he is living separately to his wife, their interests are so far apart, what would compel a husband to FaceTime his wife and his kids, even though he's very busy on the other side of the country? Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. Grab yourselves a drink, house guests, and make yourselves comfortable. If you're passing by and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome to my place. This is Boris Johnson, an American-born, English public school educated man whose privileged existence has allowed him to get away with behaving like a bumbling buffoon, a newspaper columnist who somehow managed to serve as leader of the Conservative Party and then eventually UK Prime Minister, a global representative of the United Kingdom. During the lockdown years, as we were constantly being ordered to stay inside and not mix with others, Johnson and his minions were laughing at us while they held private social gatherings in Downing Street, including one on the night before Prince Philip's funeral. Needless to say, the public, especially those whose loved ones had passed away during that awful time, were completely outraged with Johnson, and a public inquiry was held. Boris Johnson has a book coming out next month, which is currently being serialised in the Daily Fail. Why are you telling us this, I hear you ask? I'm telling you this to demonstrate once again that in order to make money, these tabloid media types need the Sussexes.
With Boris, his new memoir has claimed he tried to thwart Megxit following a manly pep talk with Prince Harry in January 2020. Deborah, let's start with you. What do you make of this?
I don't think it went too well. I think Boris himself said it was totally hopeless, and Harry left for Canada the next day to be reunited with Meghan and his young family. So it didn't work.
Is Boris the person you would call in the hour of the nation's need? Well, perhaps he is. We're going to be hearing a great deal about Boris over the next couple of weeks because his memoir is coming out, and we're going to be drip-fed, and then we're going to be an avalanche because the Daily Mail, I think, is serialising the book.
First one was out today. So.
Yes, so this is a little taster of that. Why there was the possibility of Harry leaving the country, and they were going to have a meeting anyway at this particular conference, and somebody said, well, can you see if you can persuade him to change his mind? But bear in mind, this is a week after there was the conference with the late Queen Elizabeth II. And my view is, if Elizabeth II, with all her authority and being the grandmother, could not persuade Harry, Boris was not in with much of a chance, as I think he knew. I think he describes the whole idea as being a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he did his best and said, we'd like you here. And Harry said, well, thank you very much indeed, Prime Minister. I'm off to Canada.
He probably just went to him. He probably just said, look, oh, don't go. And then put that in his book as a story.
Yeah. Exactly. I also think they needed to focus on Meghan as well. You can't just say to Harry, don't go. It's not about just Harry, is it? It's about the whole family. It was a bigger decision than just
Deborah,
Harry.
by then, they've already made the decision.
They've already got the house. They're out there.
They're going, aren't
Have either of you had an advanced copy? Are you interested in what you're about to read with Boris? Do you think, will we be getting the full truth? Obviously,
well,
we'll be getting Boris's version.
I am very lucky in that I have met and had conversations with every British Prime Minister since Harold Macmillan, before you were born. So I am lucky because I think I'm one of the people who's going to be interviewing Boris about his book around the country. And I am interested because people mock, knock and laugh. But he was elected Prime Minister with a very big majority. Many people voting for him, as many, I think, voted for him as voted this time round of people for Keir Starmer and his government. So he was popular when he came in, and he did face the COVID crisis. And then there's a lot to talk about. He's an interesting.
But do you think you'll get the real him? So you think you'll get the real him, or do you think you'll?
I feel like one thing you'll always get from Boris is that he's entertaining, isn't he? So whatever you'll get from that book, and I think there'll be a lot of interesting information divulged, I think it will be entertaining. Given the first revelation is about this failed meeting with Harry, I'm not sure we'll get many bombshells.
Yeah.
But I think, like Giles says, he's an interesting character, he's very popular, and people will no doubt enjoy buying and reading the book.
Unless you have a keen interest in the personal and professional life of Boris Johnson, I think it's fair to assume that the sales of this book will not attain the level of success that Harry's memoir, Spare, has. One thing that Johnson stated, however, with which I fully concur, is that the so-called manly pep talk was a complete waste of time. This is yet another week in which the trash media still want to convince you that Meghan is the devil incarnate, but I'm heartened to know that there are still a cohort of individuals who will stand on their integrity and refuse to make money their god.
About how the media inflames this. I was called by the Sun newspaper. If you don't know what the Sun is, it's
got the topless girl on page 3. That's all you need to know.
And they called me about a month ago to ask if I'd write about how Meghan was like Wallace and how Meghan was going to destroy the royal family and the arguments between Meghan and Kate. And I said, I'm really sorry, I'm just not privy to all of this. I don't think I could do it. And the commissioning editor was really twisting my arm to write this article and say, but you could say, couldn't you, that X happened, and you could say that she's fired all her staff, and you could say that Kate has said this. And I said, well, I'm really sorry, I don't know that, I can't do it. And this conversation went on for about half an hour, and I didn't write the article, but it just gives you an insight into how this whole thing is being, the flames are being fanned by the media,
You've heard the phrase cottage industry, this is a palace industry.
As we've got to know more about Meghan, we've learnt that she is someone who is also very sincere in her advocacy for charities. Is that something that you were aware of when you were making the show?
I remember early on, I think it was season 1 or season 2, she realized when we were finished with the crew lunches or dinners that a lot of times they were throwing the food away. And she thought it was crazy. Why are we throwing food away when there are people that are hungry around and we could give it to them? She'd gone up the chain to try to get this food to be given away to people that were hungry, and there was some sort of policy or insurance or some bureaucracy that was getting in the way. And Meghan, this kind of sums up Meghan. She sees a problem, there's some sort of impediment to it that doesn't really make sense. She decides this impediment is harming people that are hungry from getting food, and I don't know how she did it, but the next thing you knew, we gave the food away to the hungry people. So.
As you know, Harry was in New York this week, and on his second day, he addressed a room full of delegates introducing a new initiative called the Parents Network.
Oh, thank you. In 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. the world's first satellite, marking humanity's first stride into the vast expanse of space. And then in 1961, we witnessed a monumental achievement as Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into space, a feat that captured the imagination of people around the globe. And of course, we cannot forget 1969, when American astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made history with the first successful human landing on the moon, a triumph that showcased the boundless potential of human invention and spirit. Over the course of our history, humankind has dared to exceed the limitations of possibility. We've dreamed the inconceivable. We've built the unimaginable. And as a result, we live in a time where accessibility to everything, everywhere, all at once, rests in the palm of our hands. Yet, while we celebrate global achievements and their impact, there is still critical work to do. And so, I stand before you today to speak about the pervasive threat that our online world poses to us, especially our children, if we allow the status quo to remain. In an age where our lives are intertwined with technology, we cannot afford to only see the online world as a space for profitability, competition, and rapid growth. Instead, we must come together to ensure the digital space is one that fosters well-being, connection, and hope. Young people today are disproportionately affected by negative experiences online and mental health issues stemming from their digital interactions. They know it. The statistics prove it. They're navigating an environment that is often hostile and overwhelming. Reports of anxiety, depression, and social isolation linked to these platforms have surged in recent years, creating a crisis that cannot be ignored. These challenges are compounded by the relentless spread of unreliable and unfounded information, leaving many feeling isolated, confused, and scared. These are not distant problems. They're epidemics currently testing our resolve, and they cannot be ignored. My lock screen is a picture of my kids. What's yours? These children, and thousands more, meant the world to their families. The beautiful faces you see before you, their smiles, their dreams, all lost. All too soon, and all because of social media. It's why we launched the Parents Network, a global community that provides crucial support to parents whose children have suffered from the harmful effects of social media. And it is because of them that we at the Archwell Foundation are committed to this issue. Through trauma-informed practices, our network helps parents come together to forge strong bonds, offering healing support through community. This safe and free-to-access peer support not only offers invaluable resources and advice, it is guided by a licensed facilitator, ensuring that no one has to navigate this journey alone. Our platform provides opportunity for parents to turn their pain into purpose, ultimately changing the very system that stole their child. As the digital landscape has evolved, we've seen rising polarization, social unrest, and a disconnect that often manifests itself in violence and fear. Personal social connections have fallen secondary to alternative digital realities. These platforms are designed to create addiction. Young people are kept there by mindless, endless, numbing scrolling, being force-fed content that no child should ever be exposed to. It's not free will. I, like many of you, did not grow up with a phone. Young people today possess an incredible understanding of technology that older generations may struggle to grasp. They are digital natives, adept at navigating online spaces and spotting harmful trends. Their artistry and fresh perspectives allow them to envision solutions that we might overlook. They are also part of a collective who use their voice to speak up when something is wrong. Deep commitments to social justice and inclusivity drive them to advocate for a future that we can be proud of. So we must empower them. We must listen to their experiences, understand their perspectives, and provide them with the resources that they need to navigate and shape the digital world. Something that we keep at the core of our work. We must raise them to know that IQ without EQ will always fall short. We must provide them with spaces to innovate and advocate for solutions that prioritize safety, respect, and empathy. And while we embolden both youth and parents to be in the conversation, we must also hold those in power accountable. The first ever global ministerial meeting focused on ending violence to children will take place in Colombia this November. And it is where, for the first time, there can be global agreement on prioritizing child safety and protection online. Our laws and regulations are different state to state, country to country. We may have different backgrounds, viewpoints, beliefs, and even access to the internet itself. But the one thing that we can universally agree on is the safety of our children. So why do the leaders of these insanely powerful social media companies still refuse to change? Why are we holding them to the lowest ethical standards? In any other circumstance, a business would commit all resources to fixing the bug. Instead of providing parents with more tips and tricks for navigating hostile environments, shareholders need to demand change. Some say kids will be kids, and, well, that may well be true. Kids may get into trouble. I know a thing or two about that. But our kids are being targeted. The harmful effects of social media are made by design. While we embolden both youth and parents, we must also hold digital platforms accountable. Surely, none of us want to live in a world where there is no consequence or accountability. Parenting doesn't end at birth of a child. Neither does founding a company. Whether parent or CEO, we have a duty and a responsibility to see our creations through. If corporations unabashedly lack responsibility, it doesn't mean we should do the same. Their platforms may be under our fingertips, but we have the fate of the future, their future, in our hands. When many in our world today seem to conflate opinion as fact and fact as opinion, we have to work hard to seek and reveal truth. For as long as we're debating over lies, we will forever be divided. And when so much of our future is uncertain, we need to meet global insecurity with compassion rather than hate. Inclusivity and equity are not optional. They are the bedrock upon which we must build our communication and community. And fear, orchestrated at the highest levels, needs to be seen for what it is, a tactic to mask indifference and a failure to seek real solutions. As a growing movement, the Parents Network is committed to this journey. We need platforms that mirror our highest values, designed with safety in mind. But in the meantime, we can't wait. Our kids can't wait. We need to create programs that teach digital literacy, emotional intelligence, and critical thinking. We need to equip our youth with the skills they need to identify and combat online threats. We need a better digital future, one that we all deserve. We were promised a human experience. Instead, we've been a human experiment. This is an invitation to each and every one of you to open your eyes, ears, and hearts to these realities and to channel our power, resources, and intelligence toward meaningful action. All we have today, in this moment, stems from the defiance of boundaries we once thought existed. We've split the atom. We've walked on the moon. We are more than equipped to tackle this. The future of our world and our youth depend on it. We all just need to want it enough. And I know that I do. Thank you.
This obviously prompted the usual trash to run with its fake narrative that Harry and Meghan are living separate lives, simply because Meghan stayed at home with the couple's children while Harry attended to business on the other side of the country. It's interesting to note that on the occasions that Harry and Meghan travel together to attend events, the usual online trolls will accuse Meghan of abandoning her children. And when she doesn't accompany her husband to events, they will shout from the rooftops that she's about to file for divorce and take away all his money, all the while conveniently forgetting that she didn't ask Harry to marry her and that she had entered the relationship with millions of her own in the bank. As we already know, Harry denies access to the Daily Mail. This is how desperate they are, guys. Harry had visited a tattoo parlour. What did the Daily Mail go and do? Went to the tattoo parlour owner and bombarded him with questions. Listen to how the tattoo parlour owner responded.
Harry's tattoo?
Well, nothing, of course.
Nothing.
No, absolutely.
We heard he stopped by here.
Oh, yeah.
And
He said he stopped for over an hour.
Oh, cool.
What was he like just in the tattoo parlor? The truth is that I couldn't tell you anything about anybody who stopped by without their permission. So you can either confirm or deny anything you say or ask about anybody who comes in. So officially, and of course we would respect anybody's privacy in the exact same way. So, from everything that I've seen, it seems like a phenomenal guy.
You said that you've tattooed a lot of celebrities. Can you compare what it would be like if he were here? I mean, how does he rank? I mean, I assume you don't get starstruck. I mean, how's that different?
I absolutely understand the line of questioning, and I appreciate it. But of course, I could never actually say anything either way.
Hey, question for you.
Here is WebMD's explanation with regard to the concept of a superiority complex. What is a superiority complex? A superiority complex is a belief that your abilities or accomplishments are somehow dramatically better than other people's. People with a superiority complex may be condescending, smug, or mean to other people who don't agree with them. Superiority complexes were first identified by Alfred Adler, an early psychologist, in his theory of individual psychology. He defines superiority complexes as a reaction to a deep feeling of inferiority. If you have a superiority complex and truly believe that someone of a certain background is beneath you, why would you view that person as a threat? Why would you just not ignore that person? Why would you not just leave them alone? This week I learned of the story of Mary Turner, who, with her unborn child back in 1918, faced the cruelest demise at the hands of wicked individuals because she wouldn't stay silent about what happened to her husband. For the UK establishment, Meghan will never fit in because she is what they fear the most, a confident woman who has never been afraid to use her voice. This is why these wicked individuals have no qualms about expressing what they would like to happen to Meghan, knowing that many people in this country wholeheartedly agree with their sentiments. And I honestly believe that if they could personally do to Meghan today what was done to Mary Turner 106 years ago and get away with it, these wicked individuals would take great delight in doing so. Let's be crystal clear about the UK establishment. The UK establishment very much dislikes children, which is why safeguarding guidelines are less than adequate for underage members of the population, and why senior, highly paid employees at the BBC and ITV can easily groom and manipulate young people. Then, in their desperation, after having been caught, these evil predators try to convince you that they've had some sort of mental breakdown and they're really sorry. Or they'll even tell you that they haven't done anything wrong. This is why Andrew Windsor will continue to be protected. This is why they have no objection to Harry coming back without his family. The UK establishment very much dislikes women, which is why the majority of female tabloid journalists will write pieces about Meghan with such vitriol, just to be accepted by their male counterparts. This is why the two female prime ministers this country has had were mocked and hounded out of office. This is why the crime of femicide is on the increase. The UK establishment desperately wishes it could go back to the days before women were demanding to be treated fairly. This is why the firm is desperate for its female members to be seen and not heard. However, unfortunately for them, in their desperation to take away Meghan's voice, they didn't realise that she will continue to be seen and she will continue to be heard. What these people fail to understand is that by trying to destroy Meghan, they are inadvertently complimenting her because through their actions, they fully acknowledge that she has much more influence than they could ever hope to have. Okay guys, so quickly before I go, just wanted to add my final thoughts. Yeah, desperation all around. Can't sell a book without Harry. Can you imagine? Now obviously Harry didn't feel it was that significant, otherwise I guess he would have included it in his book, what happened with Boris Johnson. But it's of no consequence. Clearly Boris thought it was, and that's the only way that he can sell this book, by dangling the carrot of having a conversation with Harry. That's very sad. Yet again, proving the fact that however these guys can make money from Harry and Meghan, they will do it. And the fact that it's being serialized in the Daily Mail is no surprise to me. With regard to Harry's speech, I didn't want to cut it because I was listening to what he was saying and everything he said made sense. So I defy anyone to say anything negative about anything that Harry said in that speech. You know, for anyone to find anything negative, they are part of the problem, not part of the solution. And this is why they continue to perpetuate the narrative, the fake narrative that Harry and Meghan are living separately or living separate lives or whatever, simply because, as I said before, Meghan didn't accompany him on this trip. Meghan is a working mother. Like millions of working mothers across the globe, she still needs to find time to spend with her children. This whole thing, oh, you know, they're living separately, they're not getting on, blah blah blah. Please explain. Can someone please explain to me what would compel a husband, if he is living separately to his wife, their interests are so far apart, what would compel a husband to FaceTime his wife and his kids, even though he's very busy on the other side of the country. Meghan and the children are on the West Coast. Harry was on the East Coast, but he still found time. They still found time to schedule a FaceTime together. Please explain. Please explain, because I'm baffled. That one literally does not make sense. But as long as they can target individuals, members of the public who have a sponge for a brain, they will continue to churn out this nonsense, because they rely on the fact that many people do not have critical thinking skills, like I've said before in these videos. I personally found Harry's speech eloquent, fluid, and it struck the right balance, because there were elements of self-deprecation which made him extremely relatable. No other members, let's leave Meghan to one side because she's the one who will have shown Harry how to do this by his own admission. Harry didn't know how to do this before. The Queen could not deliver a speech without notes, as far as I know. Charles cannot do it, as far as I know. William cannot do it, as far as I know. And Kate cannot do it, as far as I know. They always have to have notes with them. Even Diana had to refer to her notes when she was giving speeches. So to see Harry come into his own, it says a lot about him and how far he's come. Seeing his progression over the decades, you know, and him saying that he, as a kid, he used to, he knows what it's like to be in trouble. And that's so true. Those of you that were around when he was growing up, it was quite bad. But to see how he's turned around, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. And this is why people want to destroy this couple, because they represent what they wish they had. Harry and Meghan represent what many of these people wish they had. You know, this term power couple, I don't really like it. But if you were going to epitomize that, I would say Harry and Meghan are a representation of that. When I see these disgusting, vile comments online from trolls, predominantly women, I hasten to add, which really is so, in my mind, solidifies what I've always thought about certain women. That's why I don't have many women as friends, because this is what I see. Even in my own life, people are like this towards me. And, you know, when I see that they've not progressed over the decades, what can I do? I just have to get on with my life and know that I'm doing the right thing. When I see continuous trolling of Meghan especially, it says a lot about the women that are doing the trolling. Because as I read out WebMD's explanation of a superiority complex and the theory by Alfred Adler, I believe, that it's deeply rooted in inferiority, I can believe that. I'm thinking of someone right now who has an utter dislike for Meghan, and she can't give you a reason why, but when you look at her life, it's a mess. She's not a happy person, doesn't have good relationships with people, utterly miserable. So she's projected her insecurities onto someone that she doesn't know and is not likely to meet. And that is the majority of women who troll Meghan on the internet. I don't even feel sorry for these people. I have an indifference to them. I just shake my head. And, you know, they need to realize that the consequences of their actions will arrive when they least expect it. Just have to let them wallow in their misery. But Harry did a good job as far as I'm concerned. And sticking with the US, the Royal Foundation apparently is going to extend its operations into the US. Why William and Kate, as heads of the Royal Foundation, want to extend into the US, it's beyond me. It baffles me, because as they say, charity begins at home. Why not concentrate on the early years, Kate? The clandestine meeting you had last week or the week before. Why not concentrate on that? And William, why not continue to develop your homelessness project? What's happening with that? Before you even think of venturing over to the US, finish what you're doing in the UK. You know, all of this, you know, trying to keep up with Harry and Meghan, but trying to pretend that you're not doing that. It's laughable. These are adults. And guys, just do not be surprised. Do not be surprised if one day, maybe in the not too distant future, you happen to find out that William and Kate have employed the services of a coach, some kind of coach, to help them deliver speeches without notes and project their voices with confidence, just like you saw Harry do earlier on in this video. As I said, none of them, I've never seen Kate, William, Charles, even the late Queen, even Diana, they've never delivered speeches without notes. Don't be surprised. If your thoughts were provoked in any way, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. Before I finally go, I want to wish the best to all of my subscribers who may have been affected by the floods across Europe and in parts of the US. I hope it hasn't been bad, really bad for you. I hope you guys have managed to survive that, and that your families are safe, that your property's safe, your belongings are safe. I want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and you shall catch me in the next video.